All right, question number 14. Fast Tumbleweed says, when I talk to some people about my mental health struggles, they suggest the cause is a spiritual issue. How do I explain that being a faithful Christian doesn't mean I can't struggle? It's so weird to me that people do believe this, because like, who doesn't struggle? Like, who doesn't have struggles? Who doesn't feel down? Who doesn't have anxious thoughts? Anybody? Yeah, here's what I want to recommend. Fast Tumbleweed. I recommend please check out my video on depression. I did a video on depression. I give several examples in scripture of where it's okay to feel down. It's okay to have struggles like that. It's how you handle the struggle, right? That presents you with a moment where there's temptation and you don't want to yield to sin in that. But the very nature of feeling down isn't necessarily bad. Rejoice in the Lord doesn't mean you have to smile all the time. I mean, I'm usually in a great mood when I'm doing streams, but this is partly because of what I'm doing. Like, I'm not always in a perfectly positive mood, and I don't expect that I'm supposed to be. And it's more like how you handle it when you're down that matters. So how do you explain to people? Please show them my video on the topic of depression. I talk about these issues a lot, give examples in scripture. Paul talks, he says rejoice always, but he also talks about the distress that is in his heart at all times because of his worries about the church. He says be anxious for nothing, but he says he's worrying about the church all the time. So he doesn't mean you can't literally have anxiety or something's wrong with you. He just means here's how you handle that anxiety. You go about this process. Jesus, he was a man of grief who was acquainted with sorrows. He's distressed. At the end of Mark, it talks about his time in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he says, I am grieved to the point of death. He was basically experiencing the emotional strain and stress that was as high as it could be, and he was sweating drops of blood, according to Luke, because of it. This is entirely a psychologically caused physiological condition where your capillaries break and you sweat and blood comes out. This is actually a known medical fact. Some people used to mock Luke, because he said this about Jesus. That's mythologizing. This is proof of mythological development in scripture in one of the gospels. And then they were like, well, there's actually studies proving that this does happen. And it would happen at exactly that kind of moment. Someone's on death row, so to speak, or the night before battle for a soldier that they think they're going to lose. So yeah, I would say please share my video on depression. Check that out. I hope that helps people. The issue with mental health is not Christians shouldn't have mental health problems. It's this. This is my summary, right? Christians, while they may have mental health problems, they shouldn't sin because of them. That's where our focus should be in handling that in a Christian way. And in scripture, in the Mark series, my Mark series, there's a video somewhere where I talked about this, about how even Jesus, even the Bible, and even the culture of the time did not think that every issue was a spiritual issue. Every sickness was a spiritual issue. They did not think this. And scriptures affirms this as well. So if you're part of a circle who thinks that every illness is a demon, every mental issue is a spiritual issue, that is, now they can be, but that's not biblical to say they all are. And so we need discernment and wisdom to figure these things out. Those who run around just saying like, oh, you're depressed, oh, you have a demon of depression, is that's not biblical to make those claims. And it might feel good because it feels like you have answers to all the issues that are going on, but if they're wrong answers, you're not helping people. All right, just speaking truth.